Hello, I'm Frank. Happy Independence Day. And not only to you who are in the United States, as am I, but to those of you who are celebrating independence or have celebrated it recently or are looking forward to it in the next week or two. Places like Peru, Colombia, the Bahamas, Belarus, France and French-speaking countries, and Canada, which has recently celebrated Canada Day. To all of you and to anyone else who is celebrating independence in whatever way, congratulations. I'm with you, and I want to share with you a couple of things that are on my mind today about independence. First of all, independence can hardly be understood apart from dependence. What are we independent from? Whom are we independent from? And who were we dependent upon? It turns out that the movements towards independence in the late 20th century in particular have completely changed the map of the world. The map of Africa, for example, is nothing like what it was when I was in high school. Countries have declared themselves independent or have been granted their independence, and that movement continues. Sometimes it turns violent, sometimes it turns into tribalism and sectionalism. We've seen wars break out when independence was promised or granted or had become a reality. Old anger that was stored up erupts. And sometimes independence is not what it's cracked up to be. Sometimes it's followed by ethnic cleansings and the oppression of the poor by the wealthy and all kinds of things that are quick to take away the hope of freedom that was just in the recent past granted and looked to become a reality. So independence are a dynamic that characterizes much of human history. Think about dependence for a minute. Do you want to be dependent? I suspect that you would say, well, no, not particularly. And if you ask anybody my age, I just had a birthday not long ago. If you ask anybody, do you want to be dependent? Well, they will say, absolutely not. I don't want to become a burden to anyone. And we get prized for how well we appear to be independent. People don't reward folks who are dependent. They may cut some slack to those who have no choice, but that too is sometimes with a price. And those who are dependent on the larger society for their welfare or their well-being, their livelihoods, frequently find that being dependent is not at all desirable in the eyes of societies where we live. That's perhaps not true in some places, but it certainly is true in a lot of places. What is it about independence and dependence? Well, I would say that to understand human nature, we probably need to begin by understanding that we are all formed by communities, and the communities that tend to last the longest in their effect upon us are the communities that we knew first. And for a lot of us, that's family. And if it's not family, it's extended family or tribe or clan or whatever. And sometimes those families families of origin are difficult to break away from. And when we want to establish ourselves, our identity over against the family that we grew up in or the tribe or the nation or some other subgroup, don't expect that the people that you are leaving are going to applaud you when you do. No, they will exert every bit of influence they have in order to keep you in the orbit that in some sense they depend upon collectively to give them assurance that that they are paramount in your life and in other people's lives and that they count. So it's a fraud issue, and yet we are faced by it. We don't grow until we are able to separate from and distinguish ourselves over against the communities of origin that we grew up with. So All of this amounts to asking the question, whom do you belong to? What nation, what tribe, what group do you give your heart to? Do you identify with? Who gives you your meaning? There's no one answer to that, but it's an important question. And the way you answer it pretty much says what it is that you value. In attempts to be ourselves, we're always faced with the question of whether we are going to give our hearts to someone who will take away our freedom, or are we going to give our hearts and our lives to someone, something, some entity that will give us back our lives whole and free, and even help us to become more free? That, I think, is what you want, and it's certainly what I want, and what my life has been largely about. It's learning how to be me. Learning how to be me, not because I think that it's an abstract good to be me, but because I have no choice if I want to grow and if I want to realize my potential. Now, that might not be true in every society. It hasn't always been true in the past, but it certainly is where we are in the present. And I hope you are free. I hope that you're giving yourself, your heart, to someone, something, some institution, some cause that is giving you freedom. I'm hoping that you are more free today than you were last year or the year before that. And less free today than you will be tomorrow or next year or sometime in the future. I hope that you will be free to be you. If you're not going to be you, who else is going to be you? The world needs you. The world wants you and what you have to give. And though you may want to change, just be aware that to become more yourself is the greatest change that you can ever make. So, I wish you a happy Independence Day and a happy Independence life. And I hope that you will thrill me again by letting me love you and giving me the opportunity to chat with you again next month. Thanks so much, and have a great Independence Day.